on YouTube and all that good stuff. We have the queue open. So we're going to do... Oh yeah. Oh god, there's zombies. I forgot about that. So Rim Hospitality and Entertainment LLC is the name of our colony. Faction, whatever you want to say. I don't remember what the name of the colony is. It's fine. Yeah, so we catch up where we left off. We are playing in what is known as a Swamphill. It's a special map brought in by a mod. The special design of map. So basically what ultimately happens here is you get like a little section of rock in the middle, a little bit of usable land, and then everything is terrible and awful, and all of that red and yellow and blue means I cannot build on it. Not well. I could build, like, if you notice here, I can build, like, wood structures on it, but I can't build stone or anything. So this is going to be a run where we're going to really need moisture pumps to do anything meaningful. But that does mean we are living the wood life. We did do a rich explorer start because that's what people are kind of weighing in that they wanted to see. And I almost never do that, which, you know, that's fine. But for those not familiar with rich explorer start, you start with one person. Actually, it's got some decent tech, but it is a lone pawn situation, which does mean if you have 10 tasks that need doing, 1 out of those 10 tasks get done and 9 do not. But we are playing with the hospitality mod. So if you see these rooms that are blue like they're medical, it's actually, the idea here is it's for guests to stay. And my intention is to pretty close to only recruit using hospitality, which the way that works is as your guests become friends to your colony, you can ask them to live there. The downside is when you do that, it pisses off whatever faction they're with. And since we did start our place with everyone hating us except for the Fallen Empire, literally my only guess right now could be the Fallen Empire, and it's a juggle of trying to get them to be friends enough that I could take their pawns without making them enemies. And just dealing with that. Now, if they have a good time while they're staying here, they'll gain like a little standings, but just the same if they have bad time, they'll lose standings. So I gotta be careful. Was there a cute little pawn there? Where? I'm looking for him. Yeah, no, you got your name in the first one. But yeah, so we're trying to build a storage room up here. That's our first project. Our kill box needs a little bit more work done to it, but it's doing okay. Otherwise, once these get done, I need this poor pawn to research. We're almost 2 years into our run. We have yet to research something. That's just issues with having one colonist doing everything. Normally, I wouldn't build all these other buildings if I'm in a lone colonist situation and have a box like this big. That'd be the handful of production things I need, and that's it. But in this particular case, I need to, you know, get accommodations for my guests to keep them happy, which means I do actually need all these things. Oh, I am gonna need shelves. Alright, so... I got more guests to be staying here in a moment. Alright. So that way we'll build shelves to keep stuff on. Not enough guest beds. There are enough guest beds. Stop lying to me. But yeah, so we look at our guests here. They have their own special tab. They've got basically how happy they are, how much of a friend they are, and then how much relationship damage will be caused if I recruit that person. So we've got all that going on. So I could recruit some of these people, potentially. Oh, you can't be recruited. Yeah, so now people can be recruited out of this batch from the looks of it. Actually, this one I could recruit if I wanted to. I could get the T-Taller. But the issue is, if I were to do that, I would reduce my reputation with the faction by 35, and we're pushing the point that they would turn hostile to us. So we have Volcanic Winter has shown up, lovely. And we could also get a heat wave at the same time. So that's a fun combination. That said, the two overlapping should sort of not counter each other, but mitigate each other. And I get a Masterwork light machine gun for it. So, yes. I will say a very strong yes to that, please. So haul that back right away. Alright, get on the shelf so it doesn't decay. Cool. One of the other cool things is you can actually have a store. So I could take extra stuff and store it in here and say that's the shop, and your guests can actually buy stuff from you without trade caravan stuff. Which can be kind of helpful for making it less of an annoying mitigation. What do shelves do? Oh yeah, so it lets you organize your storeroom. It also, when something is on a shelf, it's treated as the same as having it indoors. Because like if I have something just laying out here, you'll notice there's the deterioration, that it's deteriorating 0.5 per day. Is basically rotting outside. If I put it inside, that deterioration stops. But I can also have a shelf outside, and it'll also work to prevent that. The other nice thing is it's more compact, so I could actually have 3 items per square of shelf, so this can hold 6 items here. Whereas normally I'd have 1 item on one tile, 1 item on the other tile. So it is just improved storage. Both in the density you can store stuff and everything. Alright, we're running around trying to keep everyone happy. I did make this to not be storage anymore. We're not considered storage for our purposes, so I'll stop piling stuff in there. And they should move it up here. You'll also notice if I look at my information here, I could choose to have different options here. It shows me how happy they are, what zones they're allowed in, all that kind of stuff. But for the moment, I'm not too worried about that. Hey, the very last Lardine. For the moment, I just want to try and keep them happy as best we can. You're getting heat stroke? Are you all in danger? You're also getting heat stroke? Alright. Well, we need to give them much better accommodations. Eventually. Or we're just gonna keep having problems kind of thing. Alright. But yeah, because it's one person taking care of everything. I was also thinking I could potentially see down the road in this run deliberately doing like a mechanator kind of thing. We should also probably go here. Build the passive cooler in here, because that'll help keep the heat stroke a little bit under control to try and avoid pissing off our guests too much. Alright. And we're also trying to work on Usei's social skill, since they're the only one here. So that's one of the reasons why when you have guests so little's getting done is because Usei is running around trying to befriend everybody. So they're being quite the social butterfly. Good luck, I've been trying to level that skill for 33 years. Well, you just did level it up to 3, and you started with 0. So you're getting there. There's too many guests, they need to go away. Hey, Hey, Craven Horde, how's it going? Alright, I do wish... Let's put entertaining the guests at 2, not 3. That way we make sure we keep the food under control and all that going. Because I want you working that social skill, but right now, running out of food is also a concern. So let's try to not do that. Alright. And I also need you out here harvesting the crops, which are all getting fully grown. Yeah, so a lot of them are upset because at the moment they're sleeping in hot rooms that don't have any AC or anything to them. Realistically, I probably want to make this into one large base that's fully enclosed. Oh, and the other thing we have is we did choose Nature Supremacy, which means we cannot mine at all. We straight up will refuse. You don't know what to do in this chat? Help. You treat it like any other chat, Poity. But yeah, it's good seeing you, Poity. Hop it over there on the YouTube side of things. I didn't see what was... That doesn't say. Basically, the guests... I think they had an okay time. They didn't have a good time, they had an okay time. So the big thing is that we gotta watch... Alright, so we did actually get... Oh no, they must have been delighted because they gave us more standings. So yeah, that's the thing, that the more good visits they have, the better. The more bad visits they have, the worse. Are you winning? I mean, things are moving forward and no one's died yet, so sure. We're not actively losing. Which is about what you hope in RimWorld. What do you join? So you join, I mean, first of all, you should actually check before you join things. You join the name queue so that if we get more pawns, we'll draw a name from the pool. And then, you know, I have pawn named after you. This is going to be a slow build-up colony. Just with the nature of how we're approaching it with, like, a bunch of our arbitrary rules we've given ourselves. So don't be surprised if we only end up with, like, 1 or 2 extra colonists, you know, per stream or whatever. It'll probably pick up a bit once we start getting some of the hostile factions to like us. But realistically, to do that, we're gonna have to reach the point where we're getting raids of decent numbers of people. That way we have lots of people that we can capture, patch up, and then release. So it's good that we're getting the kill box sorted. We'll go zone, allowed, manage zones, new area, rename, shop. Okay. Expand shop. And then we can go here to our guest stuff. So shop is where you buy stuff. We might even go eventually say guests can take food for free once we get farther enough along. Because we're gonna be more concerned about keeping the guest happy to use them as a recruiting mechanism than trying to maximize the wealth we get out of them. Alright. And then once we get that enclosed and all that, I will try and see where we're going to expand to next, because unfortunately with all of this being marsh, it's going to be a little bit rough. What'll more than likely end up happening as we build up is I'll more likely have, like, my colonist section of the base, and then the guest section of the base. And the colonist section of the base will be, like, you know, self-enclosed for all, like, production and all that kind of stuff. Versus the guest will be basically just, you know, a nice room for entertainment, you know, dining and all of that. As well as, like, the shop to buy food and everything. But, sure, I will assure your safety. They're like, there's a heat wave and everything going on. Should we stay? Yeah, I will. Even if I fail, I'm still gonna do it. Alright, so you are a careful shooter who is a slowpoke. And you are a wimp, ugly, slowpoke, bisexual. So 2 slowpokes. No thank you. Yeah, also one of the things we did in the last one is we had much larger fields, and I did ultimately tell our character to be like, hey, let's cut those fields down in size a bit. Because with one person trying to work, we weren't getting anything done because we were just busy trying to handle all the fields solo. Bisexuality is a thing in this game? That's interesting. Yep, it just means that they will form relationships regardless of gender. It doesn't have any larger impacts than that I'm aware of. Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about like real life versus video game logic. But yeah, that's all it does in the game is it just has that one effect and only that one effect. Yep. We definitely need to get a second pawn though. And probably soon. Yep. Yep, they also do have homosexual and asexual as well. So it doesn't affect reproduction? Not really. Like, you know, obviously, if, you know, 2 men and 2 women pair up, like, they won't have a kid just by default. But I mean, you can do with the whole thing where you can, you know, have the egg removed, have it fertilized, have it put in. Like you could do that kind of a procedure. They can still have kids that way. Yeah, you normally don't get most people through reproduction because it does take a long time for the whole having a kid process and then the kid aging up to adult and all that to go through. That is, I did do a run we referred to as the Adam and Eve style run where we had 2 parents who just had kids. And I have had colonies where they've gone long enough. We have had runs where they've gone long enough that, you know, we'll have, like, the parents will have kids and then those kids will be able to have kids. But it's not very common because even though the game does make everything go 4 times as fast kind of thing, when it comes to aging up kids into adults, like they, you know, basically they go in 1 year, they go from age 1 to 4 because otherwise you have to wait 18 years for the kid to be able to do, not even like have kids or whatever, to do any of like those kind of production things. So rather than have all that just be a frustration, they just kind of wink wink nudge nudge, time goes faster. Alright. We're still doing amazing on wood, so that's good. But yeah, no, I was gonna say is, if we get things going, I could definitely see making this into a Mechanator run later. That would actually be kind of fun, is to have the Rich Explorer turn Mechanator and all that. They enjoyed their stay, and they gave me gold. Thanks, friends. So I like us a little bit more. So another thing I'm going to start doing is we will say make fine meals, which you can't do yet, but when you can, start making fine meals. Now, because we're nature primacy, I can't hunt, and I cannot slaughter animals. My character will get, like, super unhappy about it. Which does mean we're going to be serving vegetarian meals, because I won't be able to get meat. Later on, we can get something like chickens or cows or whatever, to get, you know, eggs or milk or whatever, but that'll be a thing when we run there. You haven't seen a Mechaneer play before? I've done a couple of them. Not super late game, because I usually play on all sorts of weird challenges that, you know, most of the time trying to get to late game is pretty outlier. There, so you've got that all built up. So the storage room is now done. Well, it's enclosed so it works. Just got those couple of tiles to patch up here and there. And then you can go and work on other things. Yeah, I still got research there, because I want them to actually haul stuff in and clean the floors and all that. Alright. You can butcher... I can butcher animals. If an animal happens to die on the tile, I could definitely butcher it. But as far as being able to reliably make any kind of meals with that, it's going to be pretty negligible. I'll go ahead and add it to the queue, though. But it's not going to happen very often. Most likely, most of that will be Manhunter packs. Will be about the only time I get any meaningful amount of meat, unless we manage to get ourselves like chickens or ducks or geese or cows or one of the other ones that just, you don't kill the animal, you just get the materials. The only thing I gotta be super careful about with a lot of those animals, though, is when it comes to them reproducing. I can't just slaughter them, I have to release them. And with like the chickens and all that, there isn't, you can't, one of the things I'd like them to do is where you have the manage auto slaughter. If you're an ideology who cannot auto-slaughter, I wish there was an alternative to say auto-release. It's such as I brought up a game earlier, and I'd love to explain why you're interested in it. RimWorld, a game where you, yes, you, any consumer, get in a survival world full of pals, Pokemon-like creatures, but with guns, building, and farming. And most strangely, untold slavery. And you get the pals to work, automation and materials, making specific material to drop from a pal to make a pal build something. And you can build homes, ride these pals. Yeah, it was an automation game. It looked good. Last I looked, they were on the stance like, hey, we've had way too many requests for keys, so we're just not gonna do, like, worry about keys outside of, like, strategic kind of things. Which was their thing of saying, like, we're only doing keys for big creators. It looks like a good game. I don't think I'm buying it. Which means if they're not giving out keys, I'm not going to get to play it. Which is fine. Like, that isn't... Like, that happens. It depends... Like, ultimately when it comes to, like, when games consider giving out keys, it's if they, you know, believe it strategically makes sense for them to do so to get more eyeballs on it. But when a game kind of already has a lot of visibility, the giving out the keys isn't as important. You get another person with a different ideology, could you have them hunt? Or would that make Ushse angry? I believe it will make Ushse angry. It'll also make Ushse dislike them individually. Like, it'll sour their relationship. It's the same thing when you have, like, the no cutting down trees. If you have another person cutting down the trees, it really upsets your pawns. And it will make your pawns dislike the person who is cutting down the trees. Alright. We're getting close to having that done. And we did put a bunch of flooring here right along the kill box, so I don't have to worry about trees blocking where my people need to be standing to fight. But eventually it'll get to hauling. There's the end of the heat wave, so that's good. Let's see, a thought you've had is, could you get your colony to adopt an outsider's ideology? If you did, what would happen? Would you get to edit that one? So not normally. Normally, if you change your ideology in your colony to a different one that's a pre-existing one, it's no longer a fluid ideology, it's now a static ideology, if I remember correctly. I haven't done it in a long time because it's pretty rare I get enough people from another ideology I'm willing to consider to show up to make it so it's a practical thing to do. But you can definitely switch your main ideology. There's an entire mechanic around that. I can't leave my colony unguarded. They had the original ideology pawns die and got stuck with a static ideology from that. Yeah, it happens. That's actually one of the more difficult things, is getting the ideology switched. Like, getting other people on the ideology that Ursay is on. There are means I could imprison a person, convert them, and then release them. Or could do that kind of thing. We technically have, it was just a randomly given one, we technically do have a ritual we can do that if we do it well enough, I get a free pawn of our ideology. I don't want to do that, I'm going to deliberately avoid that. Alright, so we've got a raid, they're going to be attacking immediately. 2 people with bows. And they're both horrendously bad at it. That's fine. Eat your food. We're just gonna have to fight it and win it. Alright, got solid hits on Jay. Alright, so Jay should go down in like the next hit or two. The big thing is we don't want ourselves to get particularly injured. Alright, so Jay is down. They did not back off. Okay. Everyone's dead. Let's see. So they aren't fluid anymore? Got it. I was wondering if it'd work like in the Civ game. You stole a friend's religion majority from them, and got to make choices for it, rather than focusing on your own. You thought that'd be a funny thing. That'd be an interesting one. We will assure their safety. It's volcanic winter, it really doesn't do a whole lot. And you are an ascetic hard worker. Okay, go on. The chemical interest night owl, that's acceptable. So you can never be recruited. Neither of them can ever be recruited. That means they're probably unwaveringly loyal. That is not what I want. I mean, I'm glad it's finally gonna do it. I'm gonna let that go after my guests. Come on, hit it. Come on, hit it. There you go, solid hit, solid hit. Nicely done. That went perfectly. The guest didn't get injured, didn't even get panicked, and we did deal with the threat. Which also means we no longer have any animals that are not mine inside our perimeter. Which works out perfectly. Those cassowaries can actually be pretty dangerous if they get into melee. So it's good that we just knocked it out right away. Yeah, so now we're just down to Boomalope, a panther, and a handful of little animals here and there. The guest just walked in the room oblivious to the terror bird that was trying to follow them to break in. Yep. They never knew they were in any real danger. Why are you not... Why are we not butchering that? Bill's butcher creature. Cooking is higher than anything else you got going on. Oh, you were grabbing something for cooking. Oh, right, because we had priority haul on the components. That's fair. All right. So one thing we'll definitely need to do is once we get things...
Take a sip. What's the worst that could happen?
Once we get things stabilized, we're going to need another vegetable. Because to make the fancier meals, you have to have varieties of plant. You can't just have a plant. Well, varieties of ingredients. All right. You're trying your best to charm them. You've insulted them a bunch of times. But you know, that's the way it's gonna roll. It's gonna take some time to win people over. Yeah, so all these little tiny stacks of money, that's the colonist, that's the guest buying stuff from me. They'll buy it at like the normal price. It's just like going to the trade stuff. It's nothing special. But it's like being able to do trade without manually having to be like, I want to sell 10 of that for this amount. They only have so much money on them. All right, so they had a okay stay. That doesn't really count one way or the other for us. Cool, cool. So everybody hates everybody on this map, except me and the Fallen Empire are okay with each other. Yeah, and that's part of the reason I was watching, is seeing if any of them... Here, before you do that, go ahead and get those out of here. I was seeing if any of them were, like, really good pawns. Oh, wait, never mind, I need to get that timer turned off. That's for news cycle, when we go to play it. I had debated starting it with the stream, so I had the timer set up. So that's my bad. We'll turn that time off, because I'm trying to be good about that stuff too, so we can disable the timer. Okay. Because there's a city builder style game that's like a survival city builder called News Cycle that came out the other day, and I got a key for it today. And so I really debated starting stream with it, and then it was like, let's just, like I said I was going to do RimWorld, let's just do RimWorld. We might do it for the second half, we might not. I haven't figured that out. Just got a list of games you want this year on Steam Deck. All the Baldur's Gate games are available, so you can play them in order. All Volcanoids, Ultra Kill, Timberborn, Phasmophobia, all of the Fallouts, and a few games like Lost Ark, Counter-Strike, Star Wars The Old Republic. You might buy Lethal Company if you have friends to play with. Yeah, I picked up Lethal Company with the intent of playing with people for the, Did you see the Prison Architect release preview? I did. I would love to get a hold... There's a handful of games that are coming out that I would love to get a hold of a key for. If I don't get a key for, that's okay too. I'll probably buy it. Prison Architect 2 is probably on that list. I'm going to wait till it comes out. I'm not going to pre-order it. Because, you know, it's not by Introversion anymore. It's, you know, they sold the Paradox. And that's fine. I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about Paradox. Which are justified and all that. Yeah, so we'd lose 40 if I recruit these people. But yeah, so with that, I want to wait to see it. I think they'll keep with the theme. The question is, will it be like, okay, it's 3D now, but it's super watered down, and then you expand on it? Or like, what we'll get. So I want to see the initial version. Like I said, if they give me a key, I'll definitely check it out without question. But as far as me purchasing that game, if it's in line with what Prison Architect 1 was, I probably will buy it. If it is like massively changed, then it gets to be more in the depends. Because I really like Prison Architect. But again, like entirely different developer group behind it, so I kind of want to wait to see what actually is. That was another random game I debated playing on the channel. It's another automation game that hasn't had an update in forever. Is called Production Line. And it's a car manufacturing game where you have like other competing car companies. I remember it being pretty good when I played it first when it was in its like super early access. Then I never got back to it. Yeah, Burning Sun. I just mentioned that I actually turned off the timer. That's for when I go to play News Cycle, whether it's later today or Saturday or whatever. Okay, you want to drop a bunch of waste pack? I actually would like the melee skill thing, but no. We're not going to use that in Ursay, because if Ursay, as my only colonist, is getting into melee, that is a recipe for disaster. Did I check out the demo for Time to Morp? I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar. There's one thing I want to do, and I need to take the time to do it, is I want to set up a list that also would work with commands on the bot, so that I can basically have, here are games that people have suggested to me, here are games I have not played and I plan to play at some point, here are games I have played on the channel, here are games I've played but I don't think I want to stream, and then here are games I will not play. Like those kind of things. You know, I want to go through and try and put together something like that. Not to dodge the whole question, but you know, we get asked about some games a number of times, and I think having a command would let people, you know, approach that in a way that, you know, some people are hesitant to ask because you're like, oh, well, I've played that game a bunch of times. So you can just be like, ! Game name, and it would just be like, oh, Rual's played that game, whatever. You know, here are the games I played. User banned for spam. Well, that's the whole thing. I wouldn't have the bot spit out the entire thing. The idea would be you would have a command, and I'm going to say ! Game. I think there actually is an ! Game that tells you what game is currently being played. I'm just using it as a placeholder in my head. But like, you know, ! Game list, and then you'd type in the name of a game, and the bot would just consult the list and turn around and be like, hey, you know, Rual is not aware of this game as far as the list is concerned, or, you know, ooh, 7 components, thanks, man. You know, or it's like, Rual will not play this game. And I won't go into like the whole explanation why or whatever, when and all that, because that'll just get too much. I could recruit you. I'm not going to recruit you, but I could recruit you, and we would be neutral in sets. Have I ever played Victoria 3? I have not. I have heard good things, but it's kind of one of those games. Actually, do I own Victoria 3? There's a couple of these. I do not. It's one of those things that's like one of those games that strategically doesn't make much sense for me to play on stream. And they have not given me a key or whatever. And so it's like one of those things. You'll run into that a lot. It is just a simple reality that as you stream games, you tend to build up an audience that trends towards wanting to see games of that nature. And kind of the counter is true, is if you tend to play games on your channel that are misaligned for other games, those other games will not do as well on your channel. As just broad sweeps. You'll have people who are like much more okay with the variety, but generally people have their preferences in games.
What's the worst that could happen?
Alright, so I can go ahead and do the stretching real fast. You know, and that's just kind of a reality. It's the same thing like with TV shows. The way I was trying to explain, because there's a thing that happens when you're a content creator, and friends and family and that learn that you're in content creation, and they'll be like, oh, you should definitely play Counter-Strike, it's a really popular game, or you should definitely play League of Legends, it's definitely a popular game. You know, you probably should play Fortnite, it's a very popular game. And you kind of sit down and go, well, here, let me explain something. So there's a Discovery Channel. You go there and you watch stuff like that you expect to see on the Discovery Channel. You go to like the History Channel. You expect to find history things. Now imagine you tune into Discovery Channel, and instead of the Discovery Channel playing the things you expect at Discovery Channel, instead you have a psychological horror movie playing. Not like the history or how it was made, it's just straight up a psychological horror movie. You're gonna be like, what the hell? And it's like, that's pretty much the way streaming works. If you have certain types of stuff, you end up playing that kind of stuff. And you do something like way deviating, it can be very jarring for people. Now, it doesn't mean we don't do that. It's just one of those things you have to be very sparing about, and you acknowledge and you know it's going to come at the cost of viewership. And viewership isn't everything, but also, hear me out, I do this to pay my bills, so it's not nothing. And you'll have people say, well, don't worry about numbers. And you're like, okay, tell that to my bill collectors. Not that I'm behind anything, but you get the idea. Tell that to the person who I pay to keep my power on. Well, numbers don't worry about numbers. And they'll be like, yeah, no, you're gonna pay us. So it is one of those realities. If you want to do this for a living, you can't fully ignore numbers. Not that you let numbers dominate everything. There's a balance. But yeah. Anna saying, you bought Tropico 6 last week. Games started lagging around 4,200 people. Yeah, no, was it Tropico 5 or 6? I think I played Tropico 6 on the channel. We had some fun with that. I think it was Tropico 6. With El Presidente. Yeah, so doing a really good job of keeping our people here happy for the time being. We're starting to clean stuff up. We're starting to get stuff done. Hopefully pretty soon we'll start getting better meals so they'll be even happier. It'd be nice to be able to branch out some of the other stuff here. Oh, toggle that off and toggle this off. Alright. We are starting to get some clothes made. Great memory, kind, psychically deaf. Oh, they're a Hussar. You had me for a moment. I was like, excuse me? Hello, new pawn. Hussar. No, sorry. Absolutely not. The thing that keyed it off for me as I was looking at the pawn and going, what? Why are these stats weird? 2 Glitter World medicine, and they're kind enough to leave it on the shelf in my storage room. Thanks, man. Yeah, so if you don't wonder why I don't like Hussar, this right here, that is a deal breaker for me with any group. Hyper aggressive? No. Because what that means is they'll kick off randomly and end up killing each other. Let's see, gotta go fight Strahd with my party for it? Gotcha. Have a good one. Yeah, like Hussars are excellent fighters, but they end up killing your own colony. Like pretty much all of the xenotypes that are like violent by default, you'll see me basically be like, pass, don't want. Like no thanks kind of things. The Impet. I didn't think it. Do Impet have a dependency? I know they're like not predetermined. They naturally have. They're salty. Wouldn't that be a nice challenge? A colony of hyper-aggressive? No. It would be a challenge. Would it be a nice challenge? No. It would be a frustrating challenge. Like you'd almost want to take your pawns and like lock them into their own enclosed areas. That requires tearing down a wall to let them out. Like try everything to keep them apart from each other. Right, so you're gonna craft, which I think is good as well. Because we'll want the clothes. But then I also need you to haul and clean and do all that stuff. Basically, stuff's not gonna get done. Let's see, not sure if it's drink or die dependency, but I'm pretty sure they're just all dependent on alcohol. Or say that sounds like a good idea. No. Those are the types of challenges like, okay, is it hard? Yes. Yes, it is. Is it fun? I would argue no. Because it is a thing that, with stuff like hyper-aggressive and all that, there isn't a counterplay. You can't do it. Like, you can keep their mood up, which helps. But even if their mood is maxed out, with the hyper-aggressive and all that, they'll randomly trigger off social fights and that kind of stuff. And it just becomes frustrating. So it ends up being very not fun. You need pawns with stun guns to down them instantly? I'm assuming that's a mod? Because there's an item you can get, but you cannot craft, that you can reliably knock a pawn down kind of thing. But there isn't a guaranteed non-lethal takedown outside of mods and like that one item. So realistically, you wouldn't be able to do that. You'd have to take the risk of fighting them again and again. All right. And that item occasionally will burn their brain. Yep. There's vanilla. That's mods. So you've already lost me. Like, the moment you get into the mods territory, you've already lost me for interest on, you know, challenges. I mean, it's just, I try to be very candid that I don't, like, it's not that I don't run mods, I prefer to keep it just to quality of life and UI mods. I don't really like modding my games heavily. Well, that's interesting. They technically triggered a social fight, but they didn't immediately. Which is probably good. So I wonder if it won't give me the debuff until they leave the map. No. They had a negative stay, but it just didn't affect their reputation. Alright, being attacked immediately. 2 people with melee. Ooh, we do not want to let them get close. Alright, if they get into melee, then Usei dies. Come on, solid leg hit. Come on, solid leg hit. I'll take it. So you go retreat. Nicely done. All right. I'm gonna secretly mod your game, and then you're gonna play it and have to figure out all of what the thing. Oh no, it's very easy to notice when a game is mod. Like when a game is modded, like I said, that's kind of the thing, is it stands out how different the game is, and it's not a bad thing. To be clear, mods aren't inherently bad or anything like that. It's just my personal preference is I don't prefer modding my games. It's just another thing for the game to break. It's another thing for me to troubleshoot. It's another thing for me to have performance issues with. I just don't enjoy it. Nah, Starbound's a dead game. No, I'm teasing. Starbound's fine. I enjoyed Starbound. I still have a couple achievements I'm missing from it that were really grindy. But that was a game I had fully intended doing all of the achievements for because I did very much enjoy it. I will say I wanted so much more for Starbound. Like I was expecting it to kind of go in line with Terraria, but infinite worlds in space and all that. And then when it came to, like, you would go to do the bosses, and they had, like, their own specially designed maps and all that, that took away, like, the whole arena building and preparation. That really kind of hurt it for me. And it was also those things that I realized down the road is, with the entire way you going between planets works, it really discouraged me from wanting to spend any time building stuff on a home planet like I did. But, like, it was almost because of achievements, not versus it interesting me. Now, doing all stuff with the ship was a lot of fun. But yeah, like, I had a lot of expectations of the game, and they just went a different direction. It's not that it's good, bad, or otherwise. It was just a different direction. Starbound was the game that kind of taught me, like, you get all these games that are like, you can have infinite worlds, or hundreds of thousands of worlds, or millions of worlds. And by and large, most of the games that go that way, I end up finding underwhelming. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like No Man's Sky. When No Man's Sky first launched, even today, you look at the planets, they might as well not have hundreds of thousands of planets. It might as well be, 100 planets, that you've got, like, the eyeball planet to this planet to that planet. Because if I go from one eyeball planet to the next eyeball to the planet to the next eyeball planet, sure, the animals look a little different, but they might as well be the same planet, if that makes sense. Like, it being an exotic biome and all that is cool and absolutely worth it, but having 30 of the planets with that biome kind of doesn't really... it's kind of, you feel like when you've seen one, you've seen them all kind of things. Just like the barren planet, I think, is good. Do we need hundreds of them? No, not really. And I feel the same way with, like, Starfield and Starbound and all those. Like, I like the idea about having, like, billions and billions of planets we can go to. But in practice, it's like, right, but they all kind of look the same. And, like, Elite Dangerous, I played that ridiculous amount. You know how much I cared about what was on the surface of the planets? Hardly at all. And then they had the first-person shooter part. I never actually played it. That was, like, the time I was like, okay, I'm quitting. Because the first-person shooter part of Elite Dangerous that they were adding looked really, honestly, subpar. Like, it was like a solid C-level shooter. It was just a new grind that was, like, right in line with the other grinds they had dealt with in the past. And so I was like, alright, I'm not particularly interested in this. And you land on these planets, like, okay, you've got this building, but it's the same as the buildings on, every other planet. So it's kind of one of those things that's like, okay, you have all these places to go, but they're empty and all that. Now, granted, like, for me, like, I did enjoy, one of the things they did in Elite Dangerous was they had the Thargoid invasion and all that, where they had these ruins and all that, that was kind of an ARG, which I don't remember the actual acronym for, but it's like things where you, like, try and suss out these things that the game has in it. And I remember being very involved in that. I loved that. So you'd go and you'd be flying over these planets before we figured out more how to work with it well. Oh, please hit it. Thank you. Before, like, we figured out a lot of the tricks of how to identify where stuff was and everything, that we were trying to figure out where these things were, these bases, these hidden bases. and it was a very manual search of going into the area we had identified as where they tend to show up, and just kind of flying really close that you could stay in the faster movement speed, and just looking for kind of green clouds, and just hoping for the best. It's getting kind of worried that Usei was going to get mauled by one of them. Because if Usei gets injured, that's going to be a major setback. Like, so far as they won't be able to work and all that kind of stuff. Alright, so you got back up, but you're going to go right back down because you got 4 hours so you bleed out, so have a nice time. You both got back up. I'm kind of impressed, except you're just both going to go back down and then die. Because there's some automation, actual research tree, and unlocking craft stuff and progress, some tutorials, bees, alcohol brewing, more planets, slowing down the game progression by adding some more tiers into the early game, making the early game slower to progress, build your own ship, some end game stuff, and like 2 additional big dungeons, Lovecrafty and inspired madness science, several extra instance dungeons to find, more playable species, some which you created. Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. The Fracking Universe mod seems amazing for the game, but I just don't really like modding my games much. Like, once in a blue moon, if I'm really into a game and I'm like, I finished it, and there's just nothing more for me, that's when you'll see me get bigger mods. But I can count on one hand's, like just one of my hands, how many times I've done that. I've done that with Terraria, and I've done that with Stardew. But for me, when I was kind of done with Starbound, I was done with Starbound. Like the game loop I was done with. Like I was ready to move on. So there wasn't things to encourage me modding the game because the base premise of the game is already like, yeah, I've finished it. What are my feelings at FTL? FTL is an amazing game. It's hard to stream because the dialogue is very repetitive in the game. So you get into that weird thing, do you not read the dialogue? And then everyone's like, yo, streamer, why are you just skipping all of it? Or do you read it and then you keep saying, you've run into the scout probe. It moves in to attack, like for the 50th time. The game itself is amazing, and I highly recommend FTL. It's a little difficult to stream because of the lack of variety in dialogue. And if you don't read the dialogue and you just go through like doing that, it makes for really bad content. Even Multiverse gets like that? Is that another game? There's also a consideration of games that would be good on the channel and games that are not fit for the channel. I feel like honestly Starbound and FTL, if they were easier to stream, wouldn't be bad for the channel. Terraria, honestly, Terraria did only okay. Like, and I love Terraria as a game. It's one of the games I have the most hours in. But like for the channel, it kind of did just alright. It is one of the things I feel as a creator I've kind of gone back and forth on. I haven't made any decisions on it, but I've gone back and forth on it, that it's a mod, it's an overhaul. Oh yeah, then I don't care. I'm just being frank. I don't care about mods. Like, I genuinely don't care about mods. I don't know how much I have to explain it. I just really don't care about modding games. I'm glad they're an option. I think it's great that it is an option. It's not that I don't run mods. I am running mods right now. But like the big sweeping expansion kind of mods, about the only games I've been excited for that was Kenshi. And the reason I was excited about that for Kenshi is Kenshi very clearly they had plans to do a lot more and ran out of time or budget or whatever and released. And so it's a great and janky game, but there's entire parts of the world that are straight up empty. And people made mods to fill them out. So that was one where I liked the game. You know that. Oh yeah, no, that's the whole thing. I asked what it was. Like, I'm not saying like how dare you bring up a mod or whatever. It's just one of those things that Did you know that your favorite follower mod got an update? Good for you. I'm glad for you. Yeah, Frostpunk 2 I'm excited about. That's, like, Enshroud I'm excited about. Frostpunk 2 I'm excited about. Little Guardsman I'm excited about. Build 42 when it hits Project Zomboid. Even though I won't play it nearly as much as I used to, I'm excited about that as well. Random mods for games? Not really. And again, modding is great. I'm glad we have the option for modding. I'm glad, you know, all the modding stuff is out there. We can do all sorts of stuff with that. But it is one of those things that, you know, it's not my preference. Especially with content creation. The problem is, a lot of times I've messed with mods, any meaningful mods. I'm not going to dab on Command, Ellis. Especially with you saying, like, right now, I'm gonna actively go out of my way to not dab. What is it with TikTok and people just being like, do this thing, say that thing? Maybe if people were respectful, or it made sense, but like, what? Yeah, no, Dyson Sphere program is one I've had on the list. That's, so circling back to what I was saying earlier, it's one of the things I've been running into. I do play a very wide range of games on the channel, and there are times I feel like I really should be narrowing, like still go variety, but narrowing that focus to being like, I do settlement builders, I do simulation, I do this. Because I play such a broad range of games between like survival, city builders, settlement builders, simulation, tycoon, roguelite. Like, I do such a wide range of games on the channel that I feel in a lot of ways I start building up an audience and then I switch to like my next game and I immediately push that audience away because I'm like not even in the same genre anymore. Like, you definitely never want to be in the situation where I feel obligated to play a specific game. People have heard me say plenty of times, if I feel like I need to play a game to have viewership, I will stop playing that game. It's not even like a logical thing or anything. It's like, it's just a reaction. I'm like, no, you can't make me. I have more control than this. I don't have to play this game, kind of things. Which is one of the reasons why a lot of times Project Zomboid, I'll play it one day and then I'll immediately stop playing it for a month. Is I'll play it and so it'll pop in and be like, oh, I see you're playing the good game again. And that immediately kills any interest I wanted to play in that game, because now it doesn't feel like I have a choice playing it. Skyrim has a sneaky update. You know, you shouldn't let people get, like, and when I say gets to me kind of thing, it's not like, whatever. And it's not to, alright, don't you give milk? I believe you give milk. You do give milk. You may stay. You yaks may stay. Because that gives me, you know, source for milk and all that. Which means I can get, you know, an easier way of getting some better meals and all that by just having it where, you know, I'll have multiple ingredients to begin with, is ultimately what the point is. So instead of right now, we're leaning on corn because it's very efficient. We're going to also have the yaks here to give us a little bit more food. That'll give us a little bit of variety. That is going to put a little bit more stresses, I guess, the word I'm going to go with, on Usei so far as growing stuff, because the yaks will eat the crops. And I can fence them off, and I probably will fence them off in time. But I'm going to want to expand our perimeter, like do something like open up this area, and then make this area for the animals, and then this area for that. But right now I want Usei to actually be able to catch up on some of the projects I've got outstanding. Cool, you gave me uranium. So we're at 41 standing. So not this time, but if we see someone who pops through who is actually a solid pawn we'd like, I'll take a whole pile of Thrumbo meat. Game. Why is there a person with a pile of money on the edge of the map there? This might be it. That panther might catch us before I can get away. But I think trying to take the risk... No, we'll probably get away. So for right now, we're just going to go here and say, don't cut stone. So now if we go indoors... it should stop hunting us when it when it doesn't have a path. Go eat. We'll kill it. That's not... You'll fight at the door of the kill box. Did you give up at the very last second? It's fine. There you go. It's running out of stuff it can hunt on the map. Alright. It's like a small animal farm, bed and breakfast. Yeah. But yeah, I know it's been one of those things I've gone back and forth kind of things on, like, going, okay, well, let's, you know, maybe I'll lean in on the simulation. Like, that's been doing extremely well on the channel. Maybe I'll just lean a bit more on simulation for a while, see how that goes if I keep doing it. For a while, like, settlement builders are what we're carrying the channel, so I'm like, alright, well, maybe I'll lean on settlement builders. Part of the problem with settlement builders is so many settlement builders have stuff that just annoy me. I had that one settlement builder, I'm not going to say the name of it, but there was one that was like RimWorld in the sense you have your needs and all that, and so it's playing heavily into this. But, so you've got your needs of, like, food, sleep, recreation, all that in RimWorld. But in that game, it was food, I think it was food, sleep, and sex. And they let you take slaves and prisoners and force them to have sex with you and all sorts of stuff. It's like, I feel like this game doesn't make, like, we noped out of that game because, like, I am actively uncomfortable with this game. That, like, the things that this game has you do. And it wasn't like it was an optional mechanic like in RimWorld where you can do awful things. Like, the game was like, no, literally, to continue the tutorial, you have to do this. And so I was like, yeah, no. They reached out to me and be like, we'd love you to play our game more. And it's like, oh, that's not happening, man. It's like, I don't know what your weird obsession with sex is, but, like, your game just got weird, man. But yeah, so it was like, there's a lot of games that go into that realm, and to be fair, when it comes to settlement city builder style games, there was a lot of real lackluster games that a lot of them kind of, you know, kind of hit-ish into the RimWorld area, like they try and do something along that lines, but it's like you have a watered-down RimWorld, or, you know, watered-down Dwarf Fortress, or watered-down whatever. That's like, okay, you made this game, and you got the core systems that are popular in this genre, but, like, you didn't do anything with it. There's a whole bunch who fall into that area, where it's like, okay, you made a game that's just okay. Like, and I get it. Tackling a game of this scope and all that is not an easy thing, and I think what happens is they fall into the dev trap. I would be like, I have a good idea, let's execute. You get a year or 2 or 3 into your execution, you've got a game that you're starting to get the core systems in place, but generally speaking, the game itself is pretty eh. Well, just leave that out there. It lives there now. But, like, it's just kind of eh. And you know, you realize you've invested tens of thousands of dollars into that in years of your life, and so delivering on it makes sense. But there's nothing good about it. The same thing happens with a lot of survival games. The number of survival games where they're like, okay, punch tree, you know, you have your upgrade path, but then you look at the game, there's nothing else of substance there. I'm like, okay, you've made like a worse Minecraft or a worse forest or whatever. I don't understand why you made this game. And it's tricky. Like, one thing, I feel it is a trap, and it's not only game dev, that people think I can make insert product that was successful, but better, without having any understanding what it took to make that product in the first place. You know, then you get into the weeds of it and you realize executing on something of that scale is not an easy thing. Or they'll be like the next Terraria. How many times have we seen stuff trying to do what Terraria did, and they'll have the gist of a platform where you can delete terrain and fight things, but almost all of them, like, the jumping feels bubbly and weird, or the combat just feels underwhelming, or like there's just no variety to it. And so with like the city builder kind of stuff, I find that really falls in that trap of lots of really kind of games coming out. And then survival, I definitely don't want to go that route, because so many survivals go for the hyper-realism thing I whine about, where it's like, we're hyper-realistic, you've got to balance your diet, you need to brush your teeth every day, otherwise you instantly get the gingivitis. And then when you get the gingivitis, you've got to find coal, and you've got to do some process to make it into special coal, and then rub it in your eye, and suddenly your teeth are better because game logic. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, no, Green Hell is the one I stand out. I will say, I don't like Green Hell. I like survival games, but Green Hell is probably my least favorite survival game. That weird Caribbean one that was like super broken and jank, I had more fun with that than Green Hell. Even though, would I recommend it? No. It was terrible. Fountain of Youth.
Yay. You ate too much sugar. Now you have diabetes.
Yeah, that's a realistic survival thing that would happen. Is like, you ate sugar twice in a row, your character now has the diabetes debuff. Now you need to go and eat like six units of beets to make it go away. Waiting for Civ 7? I enjoy the Civilization games. I don't think I'd stream a Civ game. They're very hard to stream because they can be very slow, but you know. Alright, so I'm going to do real fast that was 100 biddies. And we do have a whole thing that when I get a sub or biddies, we do a Lego. So I'm going to do that real fast so we don't fall behind and get that going. So for those who haven't been keeping up with the whole Lego kit going on, oh, I just realized I still have my old sub goal. I need to fix this after stream. I need to fix the sub goal stuff in here. But yeah, so we've been doing pretty well. We've got like this large piece here that I've got working on. We got this helicopter thing going on here. We've been making these because I had to make 4 of them. So the next piece.
You ate too much cheese in the evening. Now you have heartburn and acid reflux.
Yep. Alright. So that's 2 pieces then. So 1 and 2. And thank you, Scented Cookie, for gifting those subs. So we've got that piece done. And we will get back to that later. Pretty soon I'm also going to have to stop and use a restroom. But we'll deal with that in a minute. We'll hit a... Alright, probably not wait till the next ad break because that's too far away. But we'll see. No, actually, the next ad break's not that bad. That'll probably be when I take a quick break to use the restroom. And how am I doing on time? We're doing fine on time. Cool, cool, cool. Just checking for when Tomb gets home. We got a while. Subs. What subs? They were biddies? Right. I'm pretty sure I said thank you for the biddies. Unless I didn't, which is still fine. Okay. So Usei is just working on trying to get everything cleaned up and hauled. Oh! Gotcha. Well, thank you for the biddies. I was trying to look over from way over. I saw that they were biddies. I don't know why I said the other one. Yeah, so it's been a thing of trying to decide, like, if I were to not, so it wouldn't be I wouldn't play games outside of it, but I would put a bit more emphasis, a bit more focus on like a genre or a theme or whatever. If I were to do it, which way would I go with it so far as genres in the game? I think the reality is it'd probably be simulation if I'm being, like, just candidly. Because, like, right now, for example, we're playing RimWorld. We're sitting at about 55 viewers, which is not bad, but that's way below the viewership we've been pulling lately. And then if we look at, like, even, like, when we were playing SnowRunner, it's been way higher. You know, Farm Sim has been way higher. Even Construction Sim, which I only played the one time for Dare Drop, was way higher. And part of that's, I believe I've kind of burnt out my community on RimWorld. And I think people are just generally burnt out on RimWorld as well, waiting for, like, some kind of update or something to happen. Like, it's a good game that you can always come back to. But, you know, when's the last time something changed on it? Like, even in the mod scene, there hasn't been that big of a change. A couple mods got some polish up in that. And that's not a negative, like, anyone playing. There's, like, lots of people around the community who are playing RimWorld, but you'll notice even a lot of them have been playing a lot less RimWorld lately. And that's not entirely fair. Like, Alana Ram with the TTK stuff does really, really pretty well. Well, just when she plays with her her challenge, she's been doing well. Like, a lot of people in the stream team have still been playing a bunch. But I have been noticing for when I've been playing RimWorld that the viewership count has been dipping pretty hard. But these things come in waves. What'll probably end up happening is it'll get quiet, and then some new challenge will come out, or they'll have, like, the Rimmership or whatever, like one of the big competitions. It'll build up a bunch of interest in it, or the next DLC will get announced, or whatever is the thing. And then RimWorld will kind of, like, pop back onto the scene for a while, and it'll fade away again till the next thing happens. That's pretty normal life cycle for games on Twitch, or for content creation in general. You have them pop up, and then they slowly wane until the next thing happens that boosts interest. Would you ever be interested in taking part of Rimmership or anything like that? No. Just very genuinely no. I have no interest in getting into the competitive scene in any game. Like, it's one thing when it's like, it's for a charity thing that you're doing whatever, and you're doing it for the charity, but I won't be taking the competition part seriously. And plus, a lot of that gets into running your game at, like, 500% naked brutality, or, like, whatever sweaty starts you want to end up doing for a lot of those. And that's fine if that's what you do. I actually very much don't enjoy that style of gameplay. I used to do, like, 500% naked brutality ice sheet before streaming for the challenge. Burnout isn't the word I would use for it, because I was still into RimWorld, but I was just kind of done with that whole playstyle. Because you end up having all your bases start looking kind of the same. Like, where stuff is will get shifted around, but you will have certain buildings that, you know, certain ways. You'll always build these certain buildings first. Like, there's a strategy behind it for good reason. But it stops being interesting of, like, mixing stuff around. I would rather have all my competition, or not all my competition, all my challenges being trying to set up weird scenarios and stuff that force me to play the game different. Says the person who regularly states that they had a world record. Well, right, I'm still proud of that world record. Do you know why I have the world record? It wasn't because I was trying to go for the world record. It's because I felt absolutely trapped in Project Zomboid and exclusively Project Zomboid that I could not stop playing it, and I got really good at the game. And it happened to be I got a world record because of that. You'll notice people ask, so you're going to take your record back, and even when someone had, you know, really passed me by much, the answer was probably not, probably never. Was just the way I was approaching it. That realistically, I would never try to take it back. So an accidental world record? I mean, it's just that good that people trying for it couldn't keep up. I mean, what? But yeah, no, it's just very genuinely. But yeah, like, I have like negative 50 interest in trying to reclaim that world record. And that was, even if Lamprey had only beaten me by like 10,000 or something like that, even then I'd probably be like, nah, if I get it, great, but I'm not going to go for it. And then with how ridiculously high, I think it's at 100 or 830,000. I think Lamprey's up to now. I'm sorry that I haven't done the math. We can actually do the math here real fast. Calculator. Okay, so I stream 6 days a week, and we stream here. I'll make it so you can actually see it. So I stream. Well, we'll start there. So I stream 6 days a week, 9 hours a day. And let's assume I spend every single minute of that time playing Project Zomboid. Yeah, nope, I'm just letting it run full speed. And so realistically, that is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 2 in-game days per hour. So I'll get 108 in-game days done, you know, per week. And we'll say 4.5 weeks per month, which is probably fair. Alright, so per month, I'm getting 486 potentially days. And each day, we're killing somewhere in the ballpark of like 700 zombies, which is really, really optimistic. Still means it'd only be able to get like 340,200. That is really, really, really giving us every single thing weighing on ourselves as possible. This is a completely unsustainable. Why am I using the numbers this way? This is not even remotely realistic. Let's do that again. So we have the 6 days a week, 6 days a week, 9 hours per day, 4.5 weeks per month. All right, so that's how many hours we're playing per month. Project Zomboid exclusively. Realistically, if we're gonna go in here, we're probably sitting closer to 350 kills per day. And I can go, and if you want to go like, why would you set it to that amount? I can just very easily point at all the characters I've gotten to those and Lamprey's own numbers, and that's probably more in line. So 85,000 per month, which does mean I can actually just do this easy. If I played for 10 months nonstop, nothing but Project Zomboid every moment of stream, I would be about in the place to tie the record, assuming Lamprey didn't kill a single extra zombie. 10 straight months, nothing but Project Zomboid, 300-something hours a week. Do you know what I have zero interest in doing? That. Anything around that. Actually, we'll keep you for chem fuel. Like, that's what we're talking. And then you die in month 9. Well, that's also the concern is, you know, Project Zomboid is one mistake, you runs over. That is always a valid concern that you can have happen, is you can get to 829,000 and you make your mistake and you die and you start over and you don't get the record or anything. But it's not even that. Like, it's not even, do I think I could potentially be capable of doing it? I would say no, because I would burn out and hate the game way before I hit that point. Project Zomboid's an excellent game. It isn't, I didn't sit down. How many hours would that be? So 10 months times, here, we'll take this the other way actually. So it was 6 days a week, 9 hours a day, 4.5 weeks per month, and then 10 months. It's only 2,430 hours. It's probably, oh, that's Royal Tribute Collector. Get out of here. Yeah, so literally I'd have to take the time I played Project Zomboid all the way from the beginning, not double it, but add like almost 50% more onto it. Yeah, hard settings force one into a narrow playstyle. Yes, exactly. On the very last video, it says, as far as skill and ability, you could probably do it, but it doesn't matter if you lose interest and don't want to keep doing it. Right, that's the whole reason why I don't want it to come across as the person like, why, I could compete in the Olympics if I was interested. No, you couldn't, man. Between you and me. And the reality is you wouldn't have, like, the lack of interest in it kind of thing is you just don't have what you need to get there. So I don't want to be that person who comes across as like, oh yeah, I could totally take that. I could absolutely win it if I wanted to. Because I don't think that's true. I think I would get another 500 plus hours into it, and I would despise Project Zomboid as a game's very existence. I would be so burnt out on it. And again, that isn't criticism about how good, bad, or otherwise the game is. It's I would genuinely be so burned out, I wouldn't be able to stand it. I already have like 3,700 or something hours in the game, which is an absurd amount of time for a singular game. To that you say, hold your beer. Hey, you come back, I'll accept. You don't even have to get a bronze. I'm not even expecting that. If you get to the Olympics and you compete, I'll eat my words. I said compete, though. You don't buy a ticket and show up. Perseverance is the quality in itself. Yeah, but the thing is, there's perseverance as in like you're doing an important and good thing, and then there's perseverance as in you're just doing a thing. Do you know Eddie the Eagle? I do not know Eddie the Eagle. I have no idea who that is. Then there's spite. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, there's different things that can help motivate you to go for these things. But ultimately, still at the end of the day, it boils down to if you're not someone who is going to be able to put in that time, whether from ability, as in you can give up the time, or the patience, or the perseverance, or the desire, you can use whatever terms you like, then no, you're not someone who will be able to... Oh yeah, you're not going to get better because we don't have an animal sleeping spot. That's important so the animal doesn't die. At the same kind of time at Starbound, 2,500 hours. Yeah, well that's the whole thing. So you consider, me to tie the record would be all of the time you've ever played Starbound from the very beginning. For Project Zomboid, I have an extra 1,000 hours and some change on that. Which, you know, both of those you got thousands of hours. But imagine playing Starbound all the time you've played it, plus half. That's the quantity we're talking here. For Project Zomboid. What is my actual numbers in Project Zomboid? Okay, so I'm exaggerating a little bit. It's about 3,300 hours. I thought I had gotten way more. I keep forgetting how much I backed off Project Zomboid because I burned out pretty bad. Let's see. To avoid another night of just lurking, I figured I'd share some trivia. The U.S. federal government calculates your hourly rate for overtime with annual salary $2,087. So that's like 1.3 years. Yep. Sometimes you need to ask yourself, does the other guy care more than I do? And cut your losses before you've made them. That can also be true. Like, if you have two people who are going for something and one of the two people is clearly more interested than the other, they will most likely win. Which, you know, you could argue they should. Abrasive, so you're not one we're going to consider. Slow learner, not a huge fan. Is our religion known as the Faith? Has everyone been from the Faith that we've been seeing? No. But Barbara here is from the Faith. Oh, but you're unwavering loyal, so even if I wanted you, I couldn't. What were you expecting the street command to do? I mean, is there a street command just in Twitch in general? I noticed the thing that when you have your streak, you can do that. Oh, I guess you're expecting the bot to say if you miss anything. I don't think I've had a command like that. I've actually never seen a command like that out there. Tell me if so, missed one? Gotcha. Yeah, no, yeah, that's the thing. I could see people having, like, you know, Stream Elements or something having a streak command. And Donkey Duff on their 30 stream streak. So congratulations on your extra 450 points. We have person here. They're a space refugee who is an undergrounder. You're upset that there's... Oh. Yeah, sorry, I'm not dealing with you. Your streak went down by one since yesterday. Yeah, it's super buggy. So we got a 30 stream streak. So thank you so much for catching the last 30, and we have a 3 stream streak for Scion Mega. So both of you getting your extra points. So thank you so much. Oh, you have like 10 times a streak, and you only get 100 more points. Right, but you get that 100 more points every X number of, you know, of streak and everything like that. So it adds up. So they get more points at a faster rate. I mean, getting an extra almost 500 points every streak is not a command. We just covered that. Alright, so it's another female one, so you can get more milk from that. Pretty sure extra points cap at 450, not counting the bonuses for being sub. Correct. Gonna make the streak command time you out for 30 seconds or something. That is a command. I wonder why that's not playing. We'll give it a minute. Sometimes Firebot is slow. What is going on with that? That is a command. Oh. Did you make Firebot crash? Is that what's happened here? Have we made Firebot? Yeah, no, you crashed Firebot. Someone used the giveaway command? Yeah, but it shouldn't have accepted by anyone other than a mod or whatever. This is why we can't have things in general chat. Not even nice things, just things. Does your kill box speed bumps should be space between them? Thank you for backseating. It's definitely what I want. Now, I'm aware you can put the space. The problem is if you put a space, you have to be careful. If I put a space, for example, here, our enemies will stop, use that pillar for cover, and then shoot. There's ways around it. I'm not that worried about trying to slow them down that much. This is all marsh all around here. So the slowing them down, there's not that big a deal. All right, let me check one thing in Firebot real fast to make sure. Where is that giveaway command? I do hate how the TikTok live chat always puts itself over everything. It's one of the many reasons I don't like that. All right, so just the regular. It's all these ones that have. Like where it's a base command and then there's sub commands. It's those the ones that seem to be the really problematic ones. Because the problem is they leave that there, and now people know a way they can just break the bot at will. And that's something we'll have to deal with. That's always been the problem, is when it's a command that has sub-command you're supposed to use, and just the base command breaks in so much stuff. And unfortunately, I cannot give it a empty sub-command and have it work. I'm going to have to figure that out. But right now, I'm just going to disable it. That's what we're going to do. Until I have a giveaway, it's disabled. Boom. Problem solved. Who was that? We'll never know for sure. Yeah, no, it's not you fault. It's the fact that it's so annoying how it breaks. I think only the giveaway command that breaks the bot. It's probably best to disable that one and just use the Q command. Well, the Q command and the giveaway command behind the scenes effectively do the same thing. They're just different names of commands and different text files. So there is a good chance the Q command can be broken in the same way. And don't go deliberately breaking it, because if that does happen, and people start maliciously breaking the bot, then we take away all our fun things. Didn't we break the bot before the name join thing used? Handled differently? Yes, because it was going through the giveaway command. Wait, since the bot broke it and had to be restart, do we need to restart the queue? Oh, actually, yeah. So everyone needs to well, actually, we have to do all things. So give me a moment. So I have to start the queue, and everyone will need to rejoin who wants to be part of the queue. Because the bot died. It's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of complicated bot stuff if I can help it, because of these kinds of things. And Firebot has worked pretty good, but it is a whole thing that, like, I have had Nightbot break. I think Nightbot was what I was using before. I don't remember. It doesn't even matter. No, I got you, Anna. Sorry if it seems snippy. It's just like, you know, I've got thousands of hours in this game. Like, I know how to do a lot of stuff better than I do. I just don't care. Alright, so we are getting everything cleaned up. Your picture's like, I ruined everything. Sometimes you have to be fair, again, it's the bot was the problem. You had no way of knowing it's gonna break the bot. Like, now that it's known, if you turned around and did it, then I'd be like, alright, come on. Alright. So, Ursay is finally catching up with hauling and cleaning and all these other things. Little by little. It just is what it is. We do need another colonist. You want me to keep this person here. We definitely want the standings. So yeah. That'll be easy peasy. 17 standing, and once we get that, we can safely recruit a person without a problem. If we can find someone we like. It's also those things that I can go just a little bit in the negatives now, and then knowing I'm getting that 17 back will be pretty okay. Because negative doesn't make you hostile. You gotta go a certain amount negative, and I don't remember what that cutoff is before they turn violent against you. How are you doing? Soaking wet. That checks out. We are building up our animal skill as well, little by little. So we could hopefully start taming some better animals. Not better animals. We could tame, you know, tame animals to help with, like, hauling and all that. Did you already haul stuff from up here? No, I don't think we actually queued it up for you to do that, even. Yeah, because they had a bad stay recently, they, there's a break in them staying. It's gonna be a little bit tricky. Let's see, you think you can change the hostel somewhere around -70? I thought it was lower than that. I thought it was like -50. Either way, it's decent amount. But you definitely don't want to risk going too far, because then you'll have, like, you'll have an event trigger, and you'll have the people walk on the map, and they'll get killed just, and you'll be completely uninvolved, and they'll still take the penalty for the thing. A long time ago, you showed us some techniques of using roof boundary for your base. Was that for fire protection? Yeah, we could do that. It'll be a lot of labor for us to do that. So I haven't been worried about doing that right now. Like, it would help to go around and build the... Like, over here it's mud, so like, put the wall, or put a roof over here. Put a roof along there. Put a roof along here and down here. Inside here, everything's so close. If that burns, we don't even have... Like, the wall becomes irrelevant. They're getting all that out of that room, so that's going to make that nicer. Our storage room is also almost full. Might be worth exchanging one of these off of corn. Make a potato. We'll see. So to keep fuel from growing... Yeah, that's the idea. Is you're just covering it up so that it makes it so it's just dirt or mud or whatever, which isn't flammable. Yeah, so we've got a little bit of a source for wool, we've got a little bit of source for milk, and then we got some chem fuel coming as well. I don't particularly need the chem fuel that bad, but might as well. Yeah, we've almost got everything hauled, just a couple more things in this corner, and then they'll clean up, and then they should be able to move on to research. And it'll be just maintaining what we've got. It wouldn't be bad for us to also research Devil Strand to get rid of the cotton and go for Devil Strand because it grows much slower, but gives us better materials. I'm fighting the temptation to start like building the next expansion, to start building a whole bunch of stuff. It's like, no, I can do that, but once I do that, you know, my one pawn will be stretched even thinner than they already are and won't get anything done. We just gotta be patient and just wait for them to catch up. Because we got a geothermal vent right here, and we already have, because we did Rich Explorer Star, we already have knowledge on how to do that stuff. Alright, so now it should be the point... Oh, there's one more haul? Should be right about the point of cleaning stuff, right? Oh, there's some random silver and stuff on the map, that's fine. Hey, Grishard, how's the stream? Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. But what were we playing today? How did it go? According to Twitch, you were most recently playing Factorio, Icarus, and Heroes of the Storm. Factorio is an excellent game that I would definitely recommend. Nice solid automation game. I've got plenty of hours in that game, mostly off stream. But yeah, so if you're looking for any of those games, you can find it over there with Grishard. Don't forget to drop the follows and all that good stuff. But welcome in, Raiders. It's good to have you. We're playing some RimWorld. We're doing kind of an interesting colony here. We've got ourselves a rich explorer who showed up. Right now, they're still on their own because we are doing the hospitality mod. We're basically keeping like a bed and breakfast / resort thing going on. And I am trying to recruit entirely using the hospitality mod and see how it goes. You haven't played in 8 months, so you're kind of relearning before, you know, it's with mods and integration. Good call. But the thing that makes this run particularly awful is, well, that's one. Health. Use the glitter world immediately. Use glitter world. Because you're not a good doctor, and if you die, the colony ends. Glitter world at 30% tend. That's great. But we have just our one pawn, and that's a challenge to begin with. And we're on what's known as a Swamphill. So if you look at this and you see the yellow and the blue and the red, I can't build anything heavy on any of it. So I got this little patch here in the middle that I can kind of build on, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, everything else is wood. And then adding on that, if we look at our ideology, I'm not allowed to mine. Straight up prohibited, nor can I slaughter animals. So all this wonderful rock here in the middle that could be used, I'm not allowed. My person will outright refuse. They said, no. Humans are a blight on the environment. We will not do it. So it has created a lot of pain points. Thankfully, you're ahead on your immunity. The danger here is eventually Ushe will go down because of being so sick. And if I don't have enough of a lead when that happens, they won't be able to tend themselves or anything like that, and they'll just die. This is the big, big danger happening right now. %37%. You're killing me, buddy. I know you only have medical of 2, but you are killing me. I mean, you're killing you, but also killing me. We are winning right now by barely over 1%, which is not enough. Because it'll be somewhere around 70%, Ursay will be down, and that'll be that. And they have to have enough of a lead to just ride through the other side. Unless we get, like, really lucky, and, like, a group of refugees or something show up, then I can have someone else bandage Ursay. But, you know, we can't count on that. Can you go over fences? I don't remember. Go back to bed, please. Cool. I don't think you can go over fences. I'm pretty sure you can't. Blocked by fences, yes. So that will have to fight through our barricades if it wants to get us. Nice Rage Against the Machine in the background. Because I don't want to kill that right now, because it'll start a fire, and that'll be a lot of time of me putting out the fire, since everything's wood. Which means time I'm not tending. We're gonna try and, like, reverse the kill box. Kill it before it gets too close. Excellent. That could have gone better. It'll burn its own body. Perfect. That was the ideal outcome of that. It blew up. We lit all the bodies in fire and didn't hit any of the walls. Extreme Cobras, you would send 2 man-hunting Cobras. So normally I would like to say yes to you. But you're giving me 1 day to do this, and Ursay is trying to not die to flu right now. And it's not looking great. They have a lead, but it's not enough. I need a bigger lead than that. I need Ursay to have a nice solid, like, 80-90% tend. They're using Glitter World, come on. Work with me here. Because also when they go down, they can't get up to eat, and once you start going malnutrition, your ability to fight disease basically just disappears. It's not fully gone, but it's horrifically bad. You also have that quest going on. Alright, so that dog's have to survive. Why are you not tending yourself? Come on, buddy. I know I say you're in danger. That doesn't mean you need to make it worse. 19%. That's the wrong direction, buddy. Yeah, so we've got a lead about 5%. So we're in an okay place, but I'm still not super excited about it. Hey, Advanced Simplex, how's it going? When we get to 65%, regardless of the situation, we're going to eat whatever food we can to just top off our hunger. Just to make sure. Hey, Anthony, how's it going? It also doesn't help that this means for, like, several in-game days, nothing is getting done at all. Come on, Big Tent. 52%, it could certainly be worse. Alright, so we're about 6-7% ahead. Like I said, 65% we eat, regardless of anything else. We eat right away. Just to make sure that just to make sure we don't hit malnourished once we get downed by the flu. Now we're in a pretty good spot. We're getting pretty close to going 8% over. Not now. Literally, I'm about to get downed by this. Oh, and it's actually a legitimate raid. This might be the end. Because of the timing, I don't think I can run out there and fight. I think we are going to be downed before they get to us by our flu. So eat the food. So we've topped off our hunger. But before that happens, chat, I do hear that Tomb has gotten home. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick, like, 2-3 minute break, because I need to go welcome my wife home and grab my dinner, and I'll be right back. It's just a charcuterie, so there's no cooking involved. It's literally just as fast as I can play it and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be back in, like, 2-3 minutes, and thank you again for so much for tuning in. And I do hope you enjoy the rest of the stream once I'm back. Whew, I almost didn't get that swing off. I don't know why we didn't see her approach us. That was spoopy. Okay. There's fuel in there, but because we pulled the reactor, it doesn't look like it's that bad. Nice. So yeah, literally all I had to do was just grab the reactor and be like, alright, get it out of here. Oh! There's apparently still fuel in that line. Let's do this the uncontrolled way. All right. I didn't do that right. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Little too ambitious with that jump. Yep, let's take a minor detour. Eat a potato, eat a potato. Too late. And it is done. Jeremiah Wiener has finally passed at 1 year, 4 months, 12 hours, 135,120 zombies killed. At the end, we have managed to reach 8 fitness, 9 strength. Bentley, be ready to get the heck out of Dodge. Because everyone else is expendable. If Bentley goes down, the run ends. That is Not good. Bentley, keep running, buddy. Yeah, we just killed our run. Because mechs never leave. Yep. Yep, when they broke the door, that kind of just screwed us. Because, I mean, I should have dropped back here and bottlenecked them there. It's too little too late now. They're fully surrounded. Oh, well. This run has been taking way too long to do anything anyways, so I'm not super upset that it's ending. Been a long time coming. Okay, just clarifying. That mole rat came out of the dirt, shot into orbit, and then fell to its death. Could someone clip that? I can't do it. I can't stop laughing. It's gonna sound like some, like, horrible dog sound or something. That's awful. That's terrible. That's the one I am sending. For the record, I had to clip at least. So prisoner, begin converting them. So let's see. They're a tough child. And they want to be in the mines. Alright. That thematically fits this in a very uncomfortable sort of way. Get out of my way, man. And since there's two sides of that airlock, this shouldn't be really that bad. Well, we've lost. I thought we had depressurized it. So that's the thing that confused me, is we depressurized it, was exposed to the entire opening. Well, and that brings the end of our hard space shipbreaker run. I need to not be holding the button if I do that. But yeah, so it is. Why did I go to the moon? I don't understand. Why? And I'm back. Sorry about that. Automod picking on you again. Alright. Are you going to actually be able to fight this? I think what's literally going to happen here is we're going to get downed in 3%, as I believe what's going to happen here. Hey, Red Hawk Black Sheep, thank you so much for the raid. I really do appreciate that. How's it going? Our colony might be right about to die, because we are a lone colony kind of run. And this person's right about to be downed by their flu as a raid is showing up. And they're just gonna kidnap him. Unless I can manage to get them out of here within like 2%. Oh, and also they're gonna have lots of penalties because of the weather and all that. Try and slow that one down. Gotta retreat. Actually, can you retreat? 84% movement speed? You cannot retreat. You will be caught up to. This is it. Was that a solid hit? Are you slowed? Are you properly slowed? Be a leg hit. It's not good enough. It was an arm hit. Do you have high melee? You have decent melee. Ursay, buddy. You're dead, friend. Oh, you actually won that? Are you slowed? You are super slowed. Run away. It thought you were trying to... It thought you were going for a different meaning of the word blue. That was, more adult in nature. Keep running. But as a reminder, we do have a rule, do not test auto mod. Because what usually ends up happening with that is we end up having people just... You're stealing my... I hate you. Now they can get there in time to slow you down either. No, you're long gone. So they stole our masterwork. Yeah, a night dweller. Please don't test auto mod. Because what ends up happening is people start saying, like, super offensive things, being like, why is it picking up on that? I'm not saying you would do that, but, like, we had to put the rule in place because people would, you know, they'd sit there and be like, oh, well, this is just a little offensive, a little bit more offensive, and I'd be like, look, man, you're just being offensive. We'd run to that kind of thing. So we do actually have a rule in the channel, no testing auto mod. Like, don't get me wrong, automod jumps on stuff that sometimes are real head scratchers. Thing being the one that stands out where it, you know, it jumped on the word thing just in a sentence one time. We're like, really, you're auto-modding the word thing? It's like, don't get me wrong, you can use that in a lewd way, but I feel like that word is perhaps not enough on its own. And it doesn't always pick up on the word thing or anything like that. It's just one of those times you're just like, what? Yeah. So I'm actually surprised. Normally with Flu, I usually expect them to go to extreme at 70%. Maybe I just have it wrong, it's 80%. Yeah, no, there's a logic behind it. That it uses machine learning that it'll pick up on individual words or phrases or stuff like that. Medea says, the best version of Automod is League of Legends bans the word riot.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, you get that, though. Like, you get how that happens, though. It's like, because a lot of times you can use riot potentially in a negative way. Now, granted, usually people be joking with it, with that use case, but... Alright, Uche, I need you to eat right now. Because I'm guessing 80% you go down. Riot Games bans the word riot. So you said automod. Automod is Twitch. Are you talking about, like, within League of Legends' own moderation stuff? So you're playing League of Legends in League of Legends itself. Riot is a word you can't use? Just to clarify. Because what Twitch enforces is on Twitch. And that's automod. League of Legends chat. Oh, yeah, that's just a silly thing, then. Alright. Well, I mean, that's also a thing. Was it Path of Exile, I'm pretty sure? You're not allowed to say Tencent, which is the company who bought Path of Exile. Like... So, Path of Exile is still run by Grinding Gear Games, but one of their primary investors is Tencent, which is a Chinese company that invests in, like, every type of technology. But, a lot of people get, like... really upset about Tencent owning things because they're buying everything. So they made like an Autobot thing. I'm surprised you're not downed, man. Usually by the time you hit Extreme Flute, you're downed. Oh, a 6% tend. I'm glad you have a 6% lead, or that would have killed you. You should be okay, I believe. You got a 7% lead and you're almost at the end of this thing. Incidentally, Twitch Automod bans Riot and Riot Games channel. Makes me wonder if they've had like a bunch of drama and it's just they don't want you talking about the company even though you're in the games, like in the product of that company. Because I've seen that. That like the company's dealing with like a bad reputation problem. What? Oh, because they broke that spot. Well, I can't do anything about that right now. Yeah, just don't want people saying Riot sucks. That's what I'm guessing. Is it's more along that line of thing than, you know, because whatever. Alright, so get that barricade patch so the animals don't keep trying to get away. Cool. Man, that doesn't surprise me. Because no Riot's one of those companies that has mixed stances and all that. Identity Zero says, Epic Games is owned 50% by Tencent. Not sure what everyone's problem is. Nobody has beef with Fortnite. Yeah, but people have beef with Tencent. It's a Chinese company that, for the most part, just invests in other companies. And they do have a reputation of being a bit nickel and dimey on how they approach their monetization. But yeah, no, they just generally, any like decent-sized company in tech, like not even just gaming's tech, they just invest in all of it. But I think it's the fact that it's so ubiquitous in like everywhere, that's like every game company, it's like, oh, 5% Tencent, 10% Tencent, 50% Tencent. That's kind of the thing, is it's the fact that everyone is owned by them, is I think what a lot of people's issue with. And then just generally people being like, ah, China. Because people are like that. Alright, so you are a possible person. Not a great one. You are definitely not one we're considering. Got lots of options here. A jogger who is incapable of carrying is a good possibility. Any serious health stuff going on? No. So, I think we're looking at Tarasios, however you pronounce that, is one possibility here. Oh wait, are you the Hussar? I didn't check the thing. Probably this would be the one to go for. The fact that they can't medical is a pretty big negative, though. But either way, you can't get either of them unless they become friends. Yeah, so it's a pretty significant negative we're dealing with in that regard. But yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on Tencent one way or the other. It's like, yes, there's a lot of microtransaction in a bunch of the games they invest in, but it's also not all of them. So it's whatever. Identity Zero says, right now, essentially, Chinese business model is to buy into successful Western intellectual properties, especially the tech sector, just to keep your portfolio stable. Yeah, no, that's not unusual. That's part of the reason why I'm like, it doesn't bother me. Because, like, if people are mad about that, it's like, well, yeah, do you know what lots of investors do in lots of places? They invest in game company, well, not games, but they invest in companies that they feel are stable or moving up. That's just kind of what they do. Like, certainly you can be upset about the whole investor thing, about moving in expecting profitability, like increased profitability, and yada yada. That's fair. But like, there is a particular dislike of Tessen. But for me, it's just like, okay, it's another investment company, whatever. Yeah, I do think, like, we'll play this colony through. Once this colony dies, though, I'll probably switch back off of RimWorld. I've noticed the last, like, this is only the second day we've been playing this, but both times it seemed a little bit lukewarm so far as the reception. I think people are just burnt out on RimWorld. Just kind of waiting for something to happen. A Chinese mining company bought RuneScape in its entirety and then sold it at a loss because it was a mining company. I mean, that happens. Well, that's one of the things that irritates me is I used to work for a company, I won't say the name of the company, but we were, you know, into software training, like teaching people how to do software development, that kind of thing. And we were a very successful company, and we got acquired by what was effectively a financial firm that just buys companies, you know, has its recipe it applies, that has to deal with, like, hiring practices and raises and all that kind of garbage. You know, it applies a recipe to get, like, short-term profit and then sell stuff. And they acquired the company, had no idea anything about education, really ruined the company. And while I'm very upset with what's happening, because people I care about have been laid off and all that, there's a certain amount of, you know, not karma, there's a certain amount of, like, feeling to myself watching this company just, you know, being the profit wagon style and just blowing it super hard because they got into an industry they don't know and being like, yeah, I saw that coming. You ruined the company I worked for, so I'm glad that, you know, you're losing out on all your money on it because you're a bunch of idiots. Sadly, it doesn't usually work out that way. Usually a lot of those companies, they get their short-term profits burning the bridge behind them with their customers, and the next person gets caught holding the bag. Just got back into Project Zomboid recently. I had to go back and to look up tutorials because the W keying making the final base. I'm W keying making a final base and said, wait, this isn't right. W keying. I have no idea what you're saying there. W keying? Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm a little confused with that, Sir Blub. Alright, go ahead. Another yak. I do not need multiple view. So we are going to release that one. Because we are Nature Supremacy, we're a Nature Supremacy group, so what ends up happening is I can't kill animals. Try using the Q key a bunch of times instead. Alright, so they expected more from me. To be fair, they gave us a small army of people and we had the flu. So you're an industrious meanderist, no thank you. You are ascetic. Just ascetic. And you can craft construction, shooting, and mining. I can live with that. That is not bad. And they are our ideology already for some reason. So, sure. And I can recruit them right now. If I do recruit them, how is our reputation? Well, crap. Why did our reputation go down that much? Oh, disappointing stay. And that's a cold snap, which will definitely help. I know holding W as it going forward, not stopping. Oh yeah. So you're saying, you know, W instead of forward, you're talking W is up, that kind of thing. Do you know the Leroy Jenkins meme? That's W key in a nutshell. Yeah, so just rushing in and getting slaughtered. Your mom was a pharmacist, and every company she has worked with filed for bankruptcy, from a small town ones to Kmart and Rite Aid. Yeah, I mean, that gets into markets narrowing down to fewer businesses. And I hadn't heard about that. But yeah, no, that's Project Zomboid, that's one of the lessons you learn that's a hard learned lesson, is that you'll kind of just rush the zombies and be like, yeah, I can play this like Left 4 Dead, and just get absolutely wrecked. It's just not that style of game. Well, we were getting a bunch of standings, and then we got multiple disappointing visits that torpedoed that. We will get 17 standings from this dog here in a little bit. That's cool. I have more Glitter World. Oh, here's one thing we need to do. Health. Don't use Glitter World. We just did that for the flu to get through it. Okay. I should probably be good and actually finish my lunch so I can start my dinner. Yeah, so basically surviving in a place you spawn in, stockpile a bit, find a homestead, start building as you go. Instead, you rush getting materials and spend so much time trying to build a house that you burn yourself out, because then it snowballs into things that you need to make the house functional. Yeah, no, it's kind of one of those things I found in Project Zomboid. Like, I've talked about Project Zomboid, as far as the way it plays through start to finishing of a run, is effectively, it's a checklist. You have the handful of things you need to survive, and you work your way through them, and when they're filled out, you have to either come up with new things to add to your checklist, or you just go. And then the issue is, as you play the game more and more, you start to realize a lot of those items you have in your checklist as necessities aren't. Until you come to realize there's only like 1 or 2 necessities in the entire game, and the rest, everything else is nice to have. Then it really changes the entire way the game plays. And that can be fine, but when you can consistently survive 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, like back to back to back to back, and unfortunately, very really, Project Zomboid, it's late game, you know, because of the checklist. Once you check off enough of those checks, you have nothing to do that you care about. And all there is left there is kill zombies, or again, coming up with new things. So that's been kind of the big problem. And I don't actually see it as necessarily a bad thing within itself. It's totally fine for a game to have a defined, like, this is when you're done. And I know a lot of people get upset. They're like, they need to fix the end game. They need to fix the end game. I don't see a way they fix the end game without sacrificing the early game, or making the game just insurmountable to new players. Both of which I would feel would be more of a negative to the game than, you know, it's in its current state where it doesn't really have an end game. Alright. That's just the nature of it. Like, not all games are designed for you to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in a playthrough. And they shouldn't be. There's actually a lot of games that I don't... Like, I like some games that, you know, you can burn 1,000 hours in a playthrough, no big deal, that's just normal. And I also like games that the entirety of the game, you're gonna play 12 hours and you're done. Like, there's nothing else. Like, it's done. If it's a good game, I'm definitely not a subscriber to the idea of how many hours of fun did I get for my money. That's certainly a metric to, you know, to consider, but I feel like a lot of people weight that metric way too much, that they'll skip out on games that have an excellent story. Why do you keep getting flued? Just the boomalope. So get the dog out of here before something can go wrong with it. Cool. So I got some standings. Yeah, so you were the one who I'd like to recruit. I can recruit. Except they're on their way out and they're mad So we just lost that standing. Come on, man. But there have been so many times you've been disheartened that you enjoyed 30+ hour games and finally finished like, well, that's it, I guess. Well, I mean, that happens, but usually to get those games that you're like so into that, you know, are 20, 30 hours, that you're like, this is amazing. And they could have made it hundreds of hours by using like procedural generation and whatnot. But then it wouldn't be that game you really liked. It'd be some hollow version of it. Because I've talked about procedural generation versus handcrafted kind of stuff in the past, that there's a place for both of them. And I do find there is a lot of times that people want procedural generation for the replayability, but it's just not as good. Like, a handcrafted world will almost always outdo a procedurally generated world. That said, for stuff like roguelike games, roguelite games, procedural generation is necessary for that game to have the experience you're looking for. There's been lots of calls for Project Zomboid to be procedural generated, and I genuinely think the map would be trash if it was procedurally generated. I don't think it'd be a good experience. You'd have a bunch of like weird-looking towns with like the gun store looking into the school and all that, which would completely just make the town weird, like weirdly rotated buildings and all that kind of stuff. And you can certainly make procedural generation that's better and better and better, but ultimately that means you're putting more and more time in the procedural generation and not the gameplay or the itemization or the other things. Like that dev time has to come from somewhere. I don't know, Armored Core 6 is a blast, and all I have left to do is S-Class the missions. 100% complete, and I had a blast. I'd easily play it again if there was a reason to reboot it. Well, yeah, but that's the thing. The devs would need to put the time in to create that extra content for you, which would be, you know, expansion. That's fine, but the thing is, if they lean onto something like procedural generation, just spit out your missions, your maps would be less interesting. Like, look, we can take a comparison. If you've ever played the game Warframe, Warframe does have handcrafted and procedurally generated maps, which they procedurally generate theirs like one big room, and they'll just put the rooms in different orders around them, which is pretty common. How much do you care about the rooms and the map in Warframe? Outside of like the big story missions, no one cares about the map. The map is repetitive as hell. It's boring. Like, it's fun the first time, but it's boring otherwise. But then you look at like the handcrafted spaces where you go into like your story missions, and they're a lot of fun because, you know, those little nuanced places have interest there. But like the just generic room number 5, no one cares about, and that's what 90% of their maps are. And that's kind of the trade-off you have. Wild Boar has self-tamed. You are not useful to me, so get out of here. A destitute nomad, a refugee showed up. Yes. Doesn't matter who you are, refugee showed up. Cool. Drop your weapon, because you can betray me. And have one person, so that's the whole thing. So you will do all of these things. You will not hunt. We can have you focus on crafting and construction, and honestly, anything you want to do around here. But, Sir Blood says, every map is a speed run for the most frames as well. It flips, spins bullets, and every other mission you go. Because you gotta go grind 50 hours to the next part, you know, your frame and all that. Which got you out of Warframe? Right, but that's the whole thing, is Warframe leans very heavily on procedural generation. You create those things, you spit them out, and it's a good game. But that's just it. You look at the maps, they feel, you know, surface deep. They only added, like, the proper story to the later updates, which, for the record, I like the story stuff. But that's just it. Versus when you go to, like, a handcrafted game where they've, like, alright, well, we're gonna put the rail here, and that's where that's gonna be, and it'll be the bad guys there, and there, and it'll be configured like this. You know, they've handcrafted a mission for you. It feels really good. There's a lot more there. Versus sometimes in Warframe it goes like, where are the enemies? And it's just kind of a thing that the procedural generation just made kind of a crap mission sometimes. But that's just it. Like, I like the old Armored Core games. I haven't played the newer ones, but I really enjoy the Armored Core games. But all those were handcrafted, which takes time. Which just means, you know, the devs have to make expansions or DLC or the next title. You're gonna have to pay for it. It is what it is. They can't make their game, like, you know, you can't just give free updates forever. in those kind of games. You need some type of continuous income if you're going to have continuous development. And before anyone mentions Terraria, keep in mind the scope of these games. Terraria is a very unique outlier. As is Stardew Valley is also a very unique outlier that takes a lot of our conventional wisdom of a lot of these things. Ooh, good, a 0.21% tend. That's excellent. Wonderfully done. That's not that that couldn't be repeated, but they're when you consider what you should and shouldn't do in things, you kind of go, you take all your data, and you usually skim off like the top and bottom percent as just very extreme exceptions to the rules. And then you can go in the middle there. Because you bought Stardew Valley and put in maybe 5 hours into it, you feel so bad and hope to get the drive to play it again some point. Oh yeah, no, it's a good game. A lot of those games, and I hear this happen with a lot, there's a lot of games like, you know, Undertale, Stardew Valley, Terraria, that you have people play it, and they'll sit down for 3 or 4 hours, they're like, I don't get it, I'm not into it, I'm moving on. And, you know, that's totally fair, but at the same time, I feel like it's impossible to get into a lot of those games that have more stuff going on to them until you've at least put a little bit of time in it. And that's true of a lot of stuff, like even stuff like RimWorld, if you play only like 4 or 5 hours, you're still on the frustration point. Project Zomboid, the first 5 hours, you're just dead. But that is a challenge that a lot of games have to face, is they need to be able to hook you early. Because if they don't, you know, it's hard to get people to stay. All right. How are we doing on time? But yeah, no, like, especially at the beginning of Stardew Valley, like the first 5 hours, you probably have a couple of days in, you cleared some of your fields, you got the seeds down, you probably didn't get enough time to actually harvest the seeds for your first playthrough. You know, your social interactions, you haven't really probably picked up any cinematics on anything yet. So you haven't got to like any of the level like sprinklers and automation and that kind of stuff. So you're very early on. So Blitz, my issue with RimWorld when I play it is you focus too much. Quest failed, that's fine. Focus too much on getting the base organized and not cluttered and neglect other aspects, and then you're backpedaling. Yeah. But also say that it's a reason to adjust your difficulties as well. Like, I know so many games, it's the expectation is you immediately go to like the sweatiest, most difficult settings because, you know, you clearly can't play on the easy settings. Or, you know, you gotta make sure you're a real gamer or whatever. But you run into that in so many games. Alright, so we had our really, really amazing weapons stolen. Just grab the masterwork bow there. Yeah, that's correct. I haven't figured out what else to do. I'm gonna have to go to a fresh save. If I have a better series of events. Not hit the... Well, now what am I supposed to do? Yeah, and that's one of those things. Like, you can actually absolutely ruin the fun of a game by feeling the pressure to play on a harder difficulty setting than you want to. Or that is really what you're kind of ready for. But you can absolutely ruin your experience that way. Then you're like, but I need to do the harder thing. It's like, right, but is it fun? Now for me, like, I used to play RimWorld on very hard difficulties, but not really anymore. Go for one more shot. This is being... Okay. I should have had you running already. You're faster than Usei, so... Oh, I missed that you were only set to walk that far. That's probably gonna be it for you, because you can't win that fight in melee. Yep, that's how the run ends. That's always the problem with runs with only like 1 or 2 people. So the problem was I didn't have Uche back off early enough. What should have happened is the moment we downed this one, Uche should have already been running. Like the refugee certainly, but you know, that's the whole thing. Man, I misplayed that. And that's the colony dead. But yeah, that's any time we do any type of lone person start. That's always a risk. You have something that affects the one person and it's over. Main menu. Because the colony is dead. Well, so normally in about 1 hour we switch games. So I'm not going to start a brand new colony, just turn around. And then, you know, we build like the first building or two and be like, all right, well, time to switch. So what we're going to go ahead and do is RimWorld's going to be going away for now. But now I gotta decide what we're actually gonna be following up for the second half of stream. So things I'm considering, let me go ahead and actually end the stream over there on YouTube. For those watching on YouTube, I do really appreciate it. I do have to end the stream to switch categories on YouTube because it's dumb. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I will see you all in a little bit. For those over on TikTok, exactly the same problem.